Alright. So how many of you guys own a camera by a show of hands? Be it digital or 35mm. And now how many of you just have digital cameras? Okay. Well, what I'm here to talk about is the advancements of photography and how it affects our lives. A couple things that I want to give a background information on are photography itself, cameras, and then get into how it affects our lives daily. A couple of things here that I have are pictures that I have taken personally. The different types that you have in photography are subjective, such as human subjects. You have kind of naturistic, more scenic. And then this one is kind of unique. It's a pinhole camera. Unfortunately, mine broke. It's just basically you make something, a camera out of a box or something dark, cover up the pinhole, take a camera, take it out there in the light, and let it set for about 15 seconds. And this is the image that you get. Also, you have architectural photography, as well as, kind of abstract photography as well. Now, photography wasn't introduced until the late, 1800s. But the first actual talk of photography was introduced in the late 5th to 4th century BC. Philosophers talked about the angles of cameras and how they would work if they used light refraction and everything like that. In 1727 is when they first started developing things like this in silver nitrate. They learned about the processes and everything, and photography pictures like this weren't patented until 1865, and 35mm cameras weren't introduced until about the early 1900s. And now for a history of cameras, is my next point, is that the first permanent image wasn't introduced until 1826, and that was just something similar to this. Now, not only can you print on paper, but you can also print on other things. One of my friends, Morgan, she printed a Native American image on rawhide. Just basically, she layered some silver nitrate on top of it, and basically, if you do that and soak it in there, you can produce an image on anything. The first permanent image of an actual person wasn't until 1839. First color photos, 1861. It wasn't full color until about 1962. This camera here was actually produced in 1926. It's called a Cambridge Seahawk Hawkeye C. Basically, it's not a 35mm. It just basically you slip something, a piece of paper in here as well, and the viewer is actually right on top. Images aren't very clear, but once they developed them, they turned out pretty well. Now this camera is an Olympus EO10. It was actually introduced in 1972. It was one of the major kind of film cameras to say, but the major leader that was in there was Kodak, who actually produced this camera. So Kodak was back very far. And then now the EOS Rebel 10 is what I have. And it's a 35mm, but it's part digital as well. And all of you have a digital camera, so I didn't feel the need to bring that in and kind of explain as to what those are. And that camera was introduced in 2007. So for my third point of photography and how it affects our daily lives, how many of you think that on average per day, you're on camera less than 20 times? Okay, anybody think that it's between 20 and 50? On average, a person per day is on camera over 300 times. Yeah, it's actually true. I mean, by statistics from National Geographic, on average, a person is 300 times or more per day. I personally took it on my own self to go to Walmart and just count how many times I could see a camera that was on me at any point. I counted over 57 cameras that took, constant streaming or just still camera pictures of myself. So as you can see, photography from its advancements of what it was to what it is today, by going from just still photography to video photography, it actually influences us every day. Like I said, more than 300 times, and that's to me surprising. So in conclusion, I basically outlined, how history's advancements, from obviously the 1926 camera all the way to today, what we have digital photography. Also, the processes of photography and how it influences our daily lives. Thank you.